Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party's tyrannical 12-year reign over Germany has gone down as some of the most horrific times in human history. From failed experiments to a cruel prank against one of Hitler's best buddies, these are 10 things you probably didn't know about Nazi Germany, presented by Jake the Voice Parr. Germany's economy was severely crippled by the Treaty of Versailles after World War I. After being stripped of countless millions by the Allies, inflation increased dramatically. Money was no more valuable than the paper it was made of. Hitler decided it was time for a coup, known as the Munich Beer Hall Putsch. After marching his way to Munich with a squad of armed goons by his side, his plans were thwarted after a violent clash with police. He was subsequently arrested for treason. Strangely, Hitler's jail time was pretty lax. For one thing, he was given permission to leave his cell, be visited by his allies, and could freely move around the prison. It also gave him a chance to persuade the media and public that he was the country's only hope for economic salvation by writing his autobiography, Mein Kampf. Ever pulled off a prank that went too far? The Führer himself pulled a nasty one on one of his own former best friends, one that would even make a YouTube prankster shudder. German businessman Ernst Putzi Hanfenstagel befriended the great dictator in 1922, yet a bitter argument with Minister for Propaganda Joseph Goebbels in 1933 meant Putzi was out of Hitler's good books for good. Later, Hitler and some of his advisors established a complex practical joke. Putzi was given fake orders to parachute into Spain and fight alongside General Franco against the communists. Putzi was miffed when he discovered that the pilot dropping him off was actually just circling over Germany, pretending that they were heading closer to the red zone. As a result, Putzi defected to the United States. In retaliation against Hitler, he went on to write a comprehensive book of sensitive information regarding his former friend for President Roosevelt. It's foolish to think smoking any sort of drug harbors no downsides. But what people don't know is that advanced Nazi research first discovered the link specifically between smoking tobacco and lung cancer. They also disputed that smoking didn't help with looks, health, or fertility. Admittedly, they did exaggerate by saying cigarettes corrupt the, quote, German germplasm. However, they were correct about the dangers of passive smoking, a term that they first coined. This led to a countrywide campaign to stop smoking, with mostly disappointing results. Even after banning tobacco advertisements and informing the nation of its harmful qualities via pamphlets, tobacco consumption in Germany rapidly increased between 1933 to 1937, before dropping due to bans and the army rationing the drug. Still, when it came to tobacco regulation, Nazi Germany pioneered in that field. Assault rifles are a staple of almost any army these days, though it was Nazi Germany who invented the first of its kind. The Sturmgewehr 44, translated to the Storm Rifle, or better yet, the STG-44, was fully automatic, and was sometimes paired with telescopic sights for long-range combat. In 1943, Germany researched and manufactured the Krummlauf, or curved barrel. The attachment was made of a 30mm curved barrel and a periscope for shooting around corners and from safety. Unfortunately, not only was it bulky and heavy, the Krummlauf would be destroyed after firing between 60 to 150 rounds. That's just a handful of clips right there. While they were intended to be mass-produced, they were discontinued after a short period of time thanks to its dubious reliability in combat. Goebbels decided to mass-produce cheap radios for the masses so that they can hear the Führer's charismatic speeches from their homes. These were to be the sole things to listen to on the airwaves, but Hitler himself thought this was a rubbish idea. Who would want to listen in to nothing but politics? In Nazi Germany, any and all radio stations that were not of German descent were outlawed. Anyone caught in the act listening to foreign stations, jazz music, or the like were sent to concentration camps, or even the firing squad. Some shops deliberately sold radios that could pick up these broadcasts so that the Gestapo, the German secret police, could root out any traitors. Nevertheless, some stuck with their reliable pre-war radios and listened in to Allied broadcasts in secret. Women who gave birth to numerous children during the Second World War were praised by the nation and were offered additional funding and medals. Those with 10 or more children were bestowed a golden Cross of Honor of the German Mother and were given a salute from the Hitler Youth. It wasn't what you'd call a rousing success. Diary extracts from German mothers of the time reveal that some women merely took the gifts, but were no more patriotic than beforehand. Some still, secretly, expressed doubts about their government, despite conforming to the country's expectations. The Aryan race myth insisted that physically fit, blonde-haired, blue-eyed men and women were genetically superior compared to other races. In 1939, Heinrich Himmler was given the task to mastermind the kidnapping of hundreds upon thousands of children with Aryan qualities from Poland, Europe, and more, believing they were descendants of Germany. After a checkup by doctors, warily scanning for any Jewish features like hooked noses or disproportionate faces, the children would be taken away without warning. Packs of them were shoved into tight train carriages with no food and water. They would undergo a fierce process called Germanization, where they were indoctrinated into German culture by force. Abusive parents and cruel children would punish or bully them for speaking anything but German. In one shocking case, they were forced to witness a young boy be executed with a butcher's knife for simply refusing to comply. Many people do not know just how desperate the situation was for Nazi Germany in its final months of existence. Hitler, in a heinous act that is not given enough attention by history, ordered the use of the Hitler Youth child soldiers. In April 1945, Soviet Russia was already deep in Germany. Hitler did not expect such a colossal retaliation from Stalin's army after invading the Soviet Union 2 years prior. Children as young as 8 were armed with anti-tank weapons. A famous film reel even shows the dictator shaking the hands of some of these youths. Yet, the Red Army showed no mercy. Those who weren't killed in combat were either captured and executed or sent to labor camps. If the Nazis had the chance to construct space planes, things may have turned out differently. Jugendsanger's concept for the Silbervogel, or silver bird, was unique because it was designed to travel beyond the air and into suborbital flight. A lot of work was done on paper for the Silbervogel in 1942. The plan was to have a vessel drop a nuclear payload upon either New York or Washington, and then land in a Japanese base. London was also a considered target. However, a miscalculation resulted in a late discovery. The vessel would be destroyed by extreme temperatures if it re-entered orbit. This, combined with the fact that Soviet Russia were retaliating after being invaded by Germany, resulted in the project's cancellation. As for Sanger, after moving to France for a while, he moved back home and continued to research into space travel technology until his passing in 1964. You have him to thank for vital mechanical concepts like engine coolants. The Panzerkampfwagen 8 Maus, better known as, ironically, the Mouse, was a prototype tank constructed in 1943 and weighed in a monumental 180 tons. Bridges would have crumbled under its mass, so it was constructed to be watertight, allowing it to travel through rivers as deep as 25 meters. At 11 feet tall, 12 foot wide, and over 30 feet in length, the Mouse's thick 200mm armor rendered it, theoretically, invulnerable to tank shells. Meanwhile, its cannon was intended to pierce even the toughest of tanks at over 3,500 feet distance. It was not without its flaws. Its size made it difficult to conceal, making it a big target for artillery and airstrikes. Only a few costly prototypes were made, one of which was destroyed, while the others have made their way to modern-day museums. For more top lists just like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out our other top lists. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks for learning.